I checked the gauges on the solar stills. Water levels optimal, condensation forming nicely against the glass. Perfect. The hum they emit is soothing, a mechanical lullaby in this silent world. Between that and the rustle of leaves stirred by the hot breeze, my kingdom has its own soundtrack. From 15 stories up, the city stretches beneath me. Heat shimmers above the cracked asphalt, distorting the skeletal remains of what people once called civilization. Smoke coils lazily from the eastern quarter. Another fire, another problem that isn't mine. I adjust the drip irrigation system feeding my fig trees. The fruits are swelling nicely, green teardrops pregnant with sweetness. My fingers trace the rough skin of one, not quite ripe. Patience. That's what separates me from them, the ones below. Good morning, ladies, I murmur to the tomato vines trained along my custom trellises. Red globes hang heavy, reflecting sunlight. I pluck one, bite into it. Juice runs down my chin. I don't wipe it away. Up here, there's no one to impress, no boardroom etiquette to maintain. The cucumbers have been particularly vigorous this season, snaking over the rusted railings, reaching towards nothing. I trim them back methodically. Control is essential. Let anything grow unchecked, and soon it overtakes everything else. Nature is a competitive marketplace, something I've always understood. 15 years ago, I sat in a climate-controlled office, moving digital money, funding pipelines that bled the earth. I remember a particular meeting, some environmental group pleading for divestment. I'd leaned back in my ergonomic chair, tossed their proposal aside, and opened a plastic bottle of water. The market will adapt, I told them. It always does. I was right, just not in the way I'd imagined. The market adapted. Those who could survive did. Those who couldn't, well, Darwin wasn't sentimental. A sound draws my attention to the streets below. A figure staggers down the centre line of what was once the high street. From this height, they're barely human, more like an insect with a peculiar, lurching gait. I move to the parapet, rest my elbows on concrete, still holding yesterday's heat. The figure, male I think, though it's hard to tell with the rags they're wearing, stumbles again. They're carrying something, a container of some sort. The urban scavenger ventures forth in search of water, I narrate to myself, voice low and documentary precise. A risky strategy in temperatures exceeding 40 degrees Celsius. As if hearing my commentary, the figure collapses. The container, a rubber tube perhaps, rolls away across the cracked pavement. They crawl after it, movements growing weaker. Having failed to secure adequate hydration, the specimen faces a critical decision: seek shelter or continue the increasingly futile search for resources. The figure doesn't move again. I turn back to my roof garden. The cucumbers need more attention, and I should check the compost. The bins on the north side are ready for turning, the remains breaking down nicely into rich, black soil. Nothing wasted, everything repurposed. A siren wails somewhere to the west. Gunfire follows, sharp cracks that bounce between empty buildings. Down there is chaos, desperation, entropy. Up here is order, my order. I water the base of an apple tree, its roots curled around my self-made compost that contains everything it needs to thrive. The fruit will be sweet this year. A memory comes unbidden. The corner office with its floor-to-ceiling windows, the skyline sprawled before me. Crystal decanters of scotch catching sunlight. Mahogany conference table where fortunes were made and unmade with a signature. Climate volatility creates market opportunities, Harrison had said, swirling his 18-year-old Macallan. We're not betting against humanity, Daniel. We're leveraging catastrophe. We'd laughed then, all of us in our bespoke suits, our Italian leather shoes, our carefully cultivated confidence. The rooftop parties where champagne flowed as freely as the predictions of societal collapse. How we toasted to coastal flooding. Prime real estate would simply shift inland. How we'd calculate the profit margins on water scarcity. I shake the memory away and turn the compost with a hand-forged tool. The rich smell of decay fills my nostrils, earthy, honest, productive. This is real wealth now, not numbers on screens or papers in vaults. My fingers dig into the dark matter, crumbling it between them. Life from death, order from chaos. The Eyrie, my fortress above the dying world. I named it after birds of prey who nest on high cliffs, unreachable, sovereign. I earned this sanctuary through foresight and discipline. While they rioted over the last bottles of water in supermarkets, I was already harvesting rain. While they fought over tinned food, I was planting seeds. I inhabit the top 2 floors of this brutalist stronghold, with my eyrie on the roof, the flat concrete covered in soil, and my survival dependent on the nourishing gifts presented by my horticulture. The lower floor provides shelter from the heat, but also a buffer from the outside world that may wish to invade my domain. Natural selection isn't cruel, it's precise. It's fair in ways human systems never were. The weak perish, the adaptable survive. I adapted. They could have grown food. The information was there, books, websites, centuries of agricultural knowledge freely available. But they wanted someone to save them. Government, charities, gods. I chose to save myself. A different sound cuts through my contemplation. Not gunfire, not sirens. A human voice. My name. Daniel. The voice comes from below. The steel door I installed at the stairwell entrance to my floor. I moved to the edge of the roof garden, peered down the flights of concrete steps. A figure stands on the outdoor terrace, outside my door. Daniel, please, I know you're up there. The voice strikes a chord in my memory. Louise, my ex-wife. I descend slowly, deliberately. Each step measured, each breath controlled. I pick my way carefully through my prepared defenses on the lower floor. Through the reinforced viewport I installed, I see her. Thinner, greyer, but unmistakably Louise. A small figure clings to her leg. A child. What do you want? My voice sounds strange in my ears. I haven't spoken to another human in months. Water, please. Just water. Her voice cracks. And shelter. The child stares up at me through the glass, hollow-eyed, silent. It isn't mine. Louise remarried. Thought she would be better off with another man. Even had a child with him, whatever his name was. And now she's here, crawling back to me. Not such a wise decision after all. I can't help you. Daniel, for God's sake, it's me. We were married for 12 years. That was another world. This child is dying of thirst. There are millions dying. What makes you special? Her face contorts. Rage, desperation, disbelief. What happened to you? I survived. No. Whatever you are now, it isn't survival. I turn away. Her voice follows me up the stairs. Daniel, please. Back in my garden, I inspect the tomatoes with extra care. The weight of what I've done, what I'm doing, settles in my stomach like a stone. But I push it down. If I let her in, others would follow. If I shared my water, my food, my sanctuary, it would all collapse. Mathematics is clear. One person can live here indefinitely. Two cannot. After a while, her pleas die down. She must have abandoned her attempts to seek entry and gone back to the world below. The weak die, the strong survive. That's not cruelty, it's clarity. I work too hard to feed anyone but myself. I wake before dawn, when the air should be heavy with dew. Instead, my fingertips find only dry leaves. The plants are curling inward, protecting themselves. I understand their strategy: retreat, conserve, survive. The solar stills have collected barely half a litre overnight. Yesterday it was 3/4. The week before, a full litre. The numbers don't lie. A downward trajectory I can't ignore. Not to worry, Sophia, I whisper to the largest fig tree. We've weathered worse. Naming the plants wasn't planned. It happened gradually, like the creeping drought. First the fig trees, Sophia, Artemis, Athena. Then the tomato vines, Churchill, Roosevelt, Stalin. The big three, my war cabinet. We're going to need more filtration capacity, I tell Churchill as I check his withering leaves. The condensation system isn't keeping up. My lips crack as I speak. I taste blood, metallic and familiar. Even in the shade, my skin feels tight, burning. The sun hasn't even properly risen, and already the heat presses down like a weight. I descend to the 14th floor, my workshop. Gutted laptops, mobile phones, and circuit boards litter the concrete floor. I've become adept at repurposing the dead technology of the old world. Copper wire from computers, filters from air conditioning units, glass from shattered solar panels. We adapt, I mutter, stripping insulation from wiring with cracked fingernails. We overcome. The work is methodical, meditative. Hours pass. When I finally look up, the sun is high. I move to the window, peering through the mirrored glass. More people have gathered at the base of the building, 10, maybe 15. Skeletal figures with hollow eyes. Some have signs I can't read from this height. Others simply sit, conserving energy. I know what they want, what they think I have. The sound of something hitting the building draws me to the east-facing window. Fresh graffiti mars the concrete wall of the adjacent building. The rich still eat. Bleed them. My hands clench involuntarily. I earned this, I snarl at the invisible accuser. I planned, I prepared, I sacrificed. What did they sacrifice? Nothing. They consumed until consumption became impossible. They expected salvation while I built my ark. Back on the roof, I inspect the compost bins. The material is too dry, breaking down too slowly. I need nitrogen. In the old days, I'd have bags of topsoil, fertilizer, supplements. All gone now, used, spent, like everything else. I look at the figures below. Resources walking on two legs. Carbon, nitrogen, phosphorus, all the elements plants crave. The thought should disturb me. It doesn't. Night falls without stars. The protective dome of smog blocks them out, traps the heat. No wind stirs the leaves. The city below glows orange, not with electricity, but with fire. Riots again. The desperate turning on each other instead of adapting. I sit at the edge of the roof garden, legs dangling over the side. A cup of distilled water, my daily ration, trembles in my hand. I take small sips. letting each one linger on my tongue before swallowing. They could have prepared, I tell Sophia, whose branches reached toward me like supplicating arms. They had the same information I did. The water is gone too quickly. My throat still burns with thirst. Below, someone screams, a flash of gunfire, then silence. I look at my kingdom, the withering plants, the dust-covered solar panels, the dwindling water reserves. All of it mine, all of it earned, all of it dying. I bolt upright from uneasy sleep, heart hammering. The sound comes again, glass shattering several floors below, then voices. Not the usual distant wailing from the streets, but inside the building, inside my fortress. They've breached the lower levels. I've prepared for this, rehearsed it mentally 1,000 times. Still, my hands shake as I pull on my boots and grab my makeshift weapons cache. A crowbar, a kitchen knife lashed to a broom handle, and my masterpiece, a crossbow fashioned from car suspension parts and steel cable. More sounds now, footsteps on concrete stairs, sobbing, someone shouting directions. 10th floor clear, check the east stairwell. Someone's living up here, look at this door. I position myself behind the overturned metal desk that guards my upper floor. The floor below is already rigged. Glass shards embedded in stairwell handrails, floorboards studded with upturned nails, corridors slick with cooking oil mixed with petrol. A crash. They breached the door on 14, the lower floor of my apartment. Screams follow almost immediately. My traps work as designed. I hear cursing, the wet sound of someone stepping on glass, a body tumbling downstairs. It's booby-trapped, someone shouts. Careful. But careful doesn't save them. More screams. A whoosh as something ignites. The invaders are carrying flaming torches, and the oil slick catches fire. Panic shouting, the sound of people trampling each other to escape. Not all flee. Footsteps approach my door, slower now, cautious, testing each step. The lock to the 15th floor gives with a splinter and crack. I squeeze the crossbow trigger. The bolt punches through the opening door and into someone behind it. A gurgling scream, then silence, but not for long. The door bursts open. I reload, fire again. Someone falls. Another figure leaps over the body, swinging something heavy. I duck. Metal clangs against concrete. The crowbar connects with a kneecap. Bone crunches. I drive the knife spear into a chest. Hot blood sprays across my face. Salty, coppery. Please, a voice from the doorway. A young man, barely 20, bleeding from where my tripwire sliced into his leg. We're not animals, we're just hungry. I say nothing. Words are pointless now. The crossbow feels heavy as I raise it. You don't have to do this, he says. We can work together. Share. The bolt takes him in the throat. His eyes widen in surprise more than pain. His fingers scrabble at the shaft, then go limp. More come. A woman with matted hair wielding a pipe. An older man, skin stretched tight over bones. A teenager who can't stop crying. I kill them all. Not cleanly, not heroically. There's no grace in it. Just sweat and blood and the stink of fear. Mine and theirs. When it's over, I stand panting among the bodies. Blood pools on concrete I've kept meticulously clean for years. The smell is overwhelming. The metallic tangled blood, the reek of unwashed bodies. I put out the fires with the sand stores I've kept for my gardening. My hands don't shake anymore as I begin dragging the first corpse towards the compost pits. It's heavy work. The body catches on the doorframe. I grunt, readjust my grip on cold ankles. You could have grown food, I tell the corpse as I heave it onto the pile of plant waste and soil. You chose not to. One by one, I drag them all to the pits. The woman, the teenager, the young man who wanted to share. By dawn, the rooftop is clean again, though rust-coloured stains remain where I couldn't scrub hard enough. The compost pits are full. In 3 months, they'll be soil. Nothing wasted, everything repurposed. I rest for a full day to recover my strength. I wake before dawn, my mind reaching the realization that I cannot wait for natural decomposition. I am eager to begin. The pits call to me. It's all matter in the end. Carbon, nitrogen, water, the building blocks of life, recycled endlessly. The bodies know the material needs processing. Maximizing efficiency is simply good gardening practice. I dragged the first corpse onto the tarpaulin. The young man who wanted to share. His eyes stare at nothing as I position the solar still over his chest cavity. The transparent plastic dome will trap evaporation, condense it onto the sloped sides, and channel pure water into my collection bottles. You're contributing now, I tell him, slicing open his abdomen with practiced precision. Steam rises immediately in the morning heat. More than you ever did down there. The smell is extraordinary, metallic and sweet and rotten all at once. I breathe through my mouth as I work, separating useful parts. The organs go directly into the compost. Bones I set aside for crushing later. Calcium deficiency shows in my plants' yellowing leaves. The long bones will make excellent stakes for my climbing plants. By midday, I've processed 3 bodies. Sweat pours down my face, stinging the open sores on my cheeks and forehead. The collection bottles are half full of clear distilled water. Nothing wasted. I dig trenches near the fig trees, burying strips of flesh directly at their roots. The cycle continues, I mutter, patting soil over a severed hand. Flesh or fish meal, it's all the same to roots. 2 weeks later, the results are undeniable. My tomatoes hang heavy and red, their vines thick with new growth. The cucumber plants sprawl with renewed vigor, tendrils reaching greedily across the concrete. The fig trees are always my favorites, bear fruit so swollen and purple they seem obscene. I sit in the shade of the greenhouse, stroking a cucumber like it's a beloved pet. You're thriving now, I whisper to it. We both are. The cucumber seems to pulse beneath my fingers. I jerk my hand away, heart pounding. Did it move? The fig tree nearest me bends, its branches curving toward me unnaturally, leaves rustling without wind. I scramble backward, spine pressed against the greenhouse wall. Stop it, I hiss. The leaves whisper in response. Not wind, voices. Dozens of them, overlapping in hushed conversation. I squeeze my eyes shut. Not real, not real. When I open them, the plants are still, normal. But I know what I saw, what I heard. From the stairwell below comes a scraping sound. Footsteps? Survivors from the siege? Or something else? I don't check. I can't bring myself to leave the greenhouse's protective shade. Instead, I crawl to the far corner, knees scraping concrete, and huddle there until the sounds fade. Night falls. I catch my reflection in a rain barrel, a glimpse of a stranger. Skin mottled with sun sores, lips cracked and bleeding. Blisters bubble along my forearms where the sun burned through my shirt sleeves. My eyes seem too large, too bright in my gaunt face. I turn away. I don't look in mirrors anymore. Don't want to see what I'm becoming. Below, in what remains of the city, I imagine the survivors have resorted to desperate solutions. Cannibalism without the pretense of agriculture. At least I've made something grow. At least I've created life from death. The fig tree's branches tap against the greenhouse glass. Tap, tap, tap. Like fingers, like impatient visitors. "I'm coming," I whisper. "I'm coming to tend you." Silent blankets the eerie now. No more desperate pleas from below. No more fists hammering at my reinforced door. Even the wind has abandoned this place, leaving only my labored breathing. I scratch at the growths on my forearm. They've spread, red, weeping things that rise from my skin like strange mushrooms. When I squeeze them, clear fluid oozes out, like overripe fruit. "Need pruning," I mutter, reaching for my garden shears, the same ones I use for the tomato vines. I snip at the largest growth. Pain flashes white hot up my arm. Blood trickles down, mixing with the clear fluid. I wipe it away with a rag, then sprinkle soil over the wound. Soil rich with what was once human. "Composting myself early," I laugh, the sound echoing across the empty rooftop. Returning to the cycle. The city below stretches out like a concrete corpse. Empty streets. Skeletal cars frozen in their final gridlock. Ash drifts through the air, settling grey snow on everything. The fires have mostly burned themselves out now, nothing left to consume. I pluck a fig from the nearest tree, the flesh purple-black and split from ripeness. A small worm wriggles from its center as I bite down. I don't spit it out. Protein is protein. The fruit should be sweet, succulent. Instead, it tastes of ash and metal. I force myself to swallow. "You're my children now," I tell the plants, running my fingers along a cucumber vine. "My legacy." The growths on my arms itch furiously. More have appeared on my neck, under my jaw. When I swallow, I feel them inside too, blooming in my throat, my lungs, my gut, my body becoming a garden for something else. "What will you do when I'm gone?" I ask the fig tree. Its branches seem to shiver in response. "Will you remember who fed you, who gave you life?" I laugh again, softer this time. My ribs ache with each breath. "I made you strong," I whisper to my green children. "Fed you better than anyone that was ever fed down there. You'll outlast them all." From my vantage point, I can see clear to the horizon. No movement anywhere. No smoke from cooking fires. No desperate figures searching for food or water. The world has gone still. I won. I survived everyone. The thought brings no satisfaction, only a hollow ache beneath my breastbone. My legs give way and I collapse beneath the largest fig tree. Its roots push through the concrete planter, thick and gnarled, stretching towards the compost pits where I buried the bodies, where I'll soon lie. The sun beats down, hotter than ever. My skin blisters beneath it. The growths seeming to swell and pulse with each ray. I don't move to the shade. Don't try to protect myself anymore. I won the game of survival, and this is my prize. I sit beneath the fig tree, its roots thick with blood, and wait for the sun to finish what I started.